Hello and welcome to the Cornish Witch podcast. I'm your host Freyja, a witch who lives in Cornwall but who isn't a born and bred Cornish maid. Before we jump into today's episode, I just want to say thank you. For those who follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you might have seen a post I put on there a couple of weeks ago about supporting the podcast with a voluntary link to a website called Buy Me a Coffee, which is a place where you can choose to donate an amount from as little as £1 to support the show. The contributions go to help the running costs of the show and promotional costs such as posters, flyers and business cards. I just want to say thank you so much to those who have donated. I really appreciate it. Also, thank you to all of my listeners, followers and supporters. Thank you for all of the likes, the shares, the follows, the messages. All of your support means so much to me, and I'm so glad that you are enjoying this podcast. And I hope to keep bringing you more and more witchy episodes for you to all enjoy. Okay, so let's return to our focus in this episode. Picking up from where we left off last week, Meghan and I continue our conversation. She discusses the importance of cyclical themes, community connection, and the practice of honouring rest and wintering. She emphasises the significance of dreaming and setting intentions for the year, exploring spirituality through rituals, and the role of nature in spiritual practices. Meghan also shares her experiences with creativity, crafting, and the sense of belonging within sisterhoods. Additionally, she reflects on balancing social justice work with her spiritual practices, integrating these elements into her daily life and the journey of healing and advocacy for women. So what sort of themes and activities do you work with? I mean, do you work with cyclical themes, sabbats, estabats, astrology, crystals,
all of it,
everything,
all the good stuff. But I would say mostly like what I say, it's like sacred now supports connection to yourself first and foremost, to the land and nature around you, to your lineage, whatever that might be, biological, spiritual, intellectual, community, just honoring where you've come from and where you're going. And also community, and knowing that we don't have to do any of this alone. And so those of self, land, lineage, and community are that's the foundation of all of the work. And oftentimes each circle is promoting the connection to all four of those things and a sense of belonging to self, to land, to lineage and community. And because of who I am and what makes sense to me, living cyclically is probably the thing that I don't even talk about because it is who I am. It's just how I live. And so the circles will honor, I don't set them around. I basically set them every 2 weeks on a Thursday night from 7 to 9:30.
Yeah.
And if they fall on a new moon or a full moon, we honor that as part of, it won't be a theme necessarily, but we'll honor the energies and we'll cite the energies of the time. But certainly what I'm paying attention to is where we are in the wheel of the year and what nature's doing around us. So the 2 circles for January, because, I am definitely not a new year, new you, bigger, bolder, beautiful witch.
We don't do the Gregorian
absolutely
side of things that a man invented going, let's go with January and control. No, thank you.
No, thank you. So honoring the wintering that is happening in us and around us.
Yes.
So the first theme of this year is wintering and rest.
I love that because I love Samhain, Yuletide, solstice. It is my favourite times of year. It's busy. It's so busy. And don't get me wrong, it can be fun. It can be very enjoyable. But my God, are you rushed off your feet? And then when it comes to January, and we have that because we are society struck this sort of, Western modern on Gregorian calendar. So it's great January, fresh start. And I'm just bitch, no, I want to go to bed. I sleep a lot more this time of year. I am tired. And I'm really learning to honor that because you're a product of your environment, right? And in this Western world, it's very much, come on, January, fresh start. And I'm I'm tired. I've been busy the last 3 months. Yeah.
So we are not doing that in circle. So, for example, we begin the circle by reminding ourselves of our community agreements, calling directions in an embodied way together. We hand cast our circle. We do it every time because containers are important. And then once our container is open and set, I invite people into a meditation. Sometimes they're longer, sometimes they're in ramas, like Celtic shamanic journeys. And this one we're going on, it's just an extended meditation into rest, right? And noticing what rest feels like in our body. Um, and then we always do a card pull and a partner share or a journal if you don't want a partner share. And then I do what I call like a little mini Meg talk where I talk about whatever theme that I've, in sort of my relationship to the theme. And so this circle is the theme is rest. And so I think about like reading Catherine May's Wintering and having read that multiple times. And I, kind of bringing my relationship into wintering. And then I also think about Trisha Hersey's The Nap Ministry and thinking about how rest is revolutionary and, rest is counterculture. And also about, thinking about who gets to rest. Because with all the good, like there are people who don't have the privilege to rest. There are people who are working 2, 3, 4 jobs
just to make ends meet.
Just to make ends meet, raising kids on their own. So rest isn't an option. Now, like those are when I think about wintering and rest, so I'll share, for example, like, how I've come to arrive in January 2026 in my relationship with rest. And then we'll do a Talking for a Woman where every woman in the group, if they want to, will share their relationship. So I ask a question or two, and then everyone gets to bring their voices into the group. And then after we do our share, we'll move into an activity. And so the activity to embody the theme, a lot of people, I see it now, like, and I still feel like the kernels, the seeds of like longing to be like, I want to have a word of the year. And I don't do words of the year. I have an exercise that I've created called the feelings compass. So it's less about like my word for the year. It's how do I want to feel through the year ahead?
That's really
various
nice.
aspects of my life. But, most years I've kind of done that by the end of January. I'm not touching that to February this year. So, but still I feel like the longing to like maybe set but this year I'm really not doing it. So like, for example, the circle we had before Christmas was about the winter solstice and dreaming. Just dreaming into winter. This one is about resting into winter. And so the activity is instead of deciding on a being, like what we're going to do through the year, what if we just continue that dreaming into being? And what if we could set an intention for rest? And so that's what we're going to do, a writing ritual around our relationship to rest. And how can we, if you choose to, like, how can you make some commitments to yourself to honor the pull to resource yourself right now?
Yeah, because it's such a introspective time as well.
Yeah.
And working cyclically, it's the perfect time of the year to start doing that and to honor that.
And what if we could then like start the year by connecting to connecting and maybe committing to and strengthening our relationship to rest, so that as we are cyclical beings and even as we pass through the spring and summer and autumn, what if we could take that relationship to rest when we need it throughout our own cycles through 2026? So, and I guess that's the kind of invitation as we close the circle and as we move out of the container of the circle into our lives is like, perhaps you haven't spent time to notice your relationship to rest, but maybe that will be part of your year ahead. Maybe it won't be. You get to choose, And then the second circle is we're going to, again, keeping with the idea of like, we don't have to decide yet everything that's going to happen, but what if we could then dream and then seed into the potential? And like, we're coming up to Imbolc. So like just the potential, the possibility. And so drawing on the goddess, the dreaming goddess, the Celtic goddess Aisling, we'll do a little bit of vision boarding, but not like your traditional, like big, this is going to be the best year of my life and I'm going to plan everything. But what if you could take your dreaming and envision it on paper? So the way that I learned how to do visioning through Dr. Karen Ward at the Moon Mana tradition in the Sri Cree school. And basically like, it is not about overthinking it. It's about feeling. And so what I'll do is I'll have like 60, 70 magazines in oracle cards in the middle of our space. And what you do, you have 10 minutes to go through all of the stuff that's there and to think less and feel more about the potential of your year ahead and what you're visioning. And again, it matters less about what it's going to look like. It's about what it feels like to do this. And I've done this for a few years now, and like thinking less, feeling more, almost like rapid fire visioning, right? That connects with your intuition more than like this overthinking. Oh, if I don't find the perfect word, oh, I must find a woman skiing down a ski slope. Like it's not about that. It's just like the vibes, right? And when I've done that over the last 2 years and then look back on what I've created in a really short period of time towards the end of January, it has been so spot on with how I've created my year. And so I think like, so that's what we'll do. And then, the first kind of circle in February, we'll connect to Bridget.
Yeah.
And I'll harvest some reeds and we'll make some Bridget crosses. I mean, Bridget's one of my spirit guides and one of my homegirls. And so we'll go deep into Bridget because we've not done that in circle yet in this community.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we've talked around it, but we've not gone deep into Bridget. So now everyone else has had a circle.
Come on, Meghan. Come on, Meghan.
And then the second half of February, because I have all the circles for 2024, all the themes already decided. Because they came through in a massive channel in August of last year.
Are you channeling or in like a meditation space?
So I also, my husband and I have a band. It's called Kermit.
I love that.
Big green band. We're getting more and more into #vanlife. And over the summer, we just spent a lot of time testing out our new van here in Cornwall and working from it, taking days and nights away with the most beautiful backdrops we could find as often as we could find. And one morning, we were up in Boston Cove on the North Coast.
Oh yeah.
There's an amazing £5 a night. The view is phenomenal. £5 a night to camp there.
Yeah.
I was thinking ahead and it just kind of came. It's like, I don't, for me, what channeling feels like is that energy and messaging comes from above and below and just clarifies what's in my heart.
As above, so below.
Yeah. It just like, it's all the stuff that's been percolating and then it comes together in a moment where I just feel really held and then I have space. So basically, like I have almost always had my laptop with me and I just got out and I just wrote out all things. And so like last February, I created a Mother Goddess mini oracle deck and we talked about love and we did love ceremony and this year what came through was the second circle in February is about animal familiars.
It's just, familiar to something I do want to touch on in the podcast at some point because I just love animals. I love animals so much.
Animals come up so often in our circles.
So interesting.
2025, like, I don't know if this was your experience, like my heart is holding your heart. So many people I know lost their animal familiars. So many animals passed this year. So many beautiful guides and family members, left the physical plane this year. And that happened certainly in my sacred chrono circles and in wider circles. I don't know why that was, but it happened for so many people. And so when we talk about what we're dedicated to in circle, like when we talk about what we love, animals come up so much for our witchy sisters. And it just made sense that like this year, I was like, it was so clear. Like when we talk about love, like everyone's talking about like romantic love and this, that, and the other thing. And the stupid capitalistic Valentino Day is all around us. But like, it was like, no, what we're going to do is talk about our animal family and our familiars and like how they've shown us love. And so that's February. And then first one in March is around, International Women's Day. So we're going to celebrate the
That's
women.
my birthday.
Is it?
I was born on International Women's Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So much sense. And so,
it's always a day of celebration for me.
And so the Thursday before, we're going to have a celebration of the women who impacted us. And then the second half of March, we are going to have a special circle around Morgan and Crow energy. And those are the ones that have been released to the world. And then April circles will follow. But like, what are some of the other themes for the year? I was really called to offer a circle about like the book with the books that have influenced us the most. And if it's not a book, then like, what kind of influenced who you are and to talk about that. And then, there's another circle around, some people have asked me to do a circle around forgiveness and around like exploring what forgiveness means. And, that's not what came through. Like what came through is exploring how we embody wholeness. Like I think there's a lot of talk about like, love and light, and there's a lot of talk about shadow. Like in a Koya class, for example, we explore the wholeness of a theme throughout a class. And that's really what this circle, I think it's in May, that how do we embody wholeness? How do we, as I go on my own spiritual journey, like how do I explore the parts of me that feel uncomfortable, the parts of me that, some might put under the umbrella of a shadow, like how do I do that? And give that time and space when it's needed. And then how do I also honor, the light and the joyous parts of me, but like, what does it mean to embody the wholeness of life? And how sometimes that's trickier. And so like, these are just all the things that like I spend a lot of time with. And so I often figure like, if this is something that like sits at the front of my heart and influences how I move through the world, I'm guessing that, I've done some obscure things that, like we did a circle around trees. And let me tell you, like I had to kick these women out of the studio. Like I was like, we're never going to end the circle. Like people were so jazzed up talking about trees.
Was it like Celtic trees, your birth trees, or just how awesome they are as sentient beings? I'm going to say it. They are like.
So I talked about trees and tree symbolism, and I made everyone a tree organ. So, I made like little discs for everybody. And so you always get nifty gifties in my circles because I can't help it.
Yes, you do. You give out charms. I still have my charm from Witch Festival.
Yes, I give out charms or crystals at the end. Yeah. But sometimes you get bonus gifts. So like, when I've made 3 oracle decks, I've made the Ogham for folks, but I talked about basically how trees and tree symbolism have meant so much in Cornwall, so much in Celtic lineage, but and told lots of stories about different tree symbolism. And then the talking for woman, the question to the group was like, I think it was something like what do trees mean to you, or is there a particular tree in your life that you have a relationship with that's meaningful to you? Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, like the richness. And what's shared in circle stays in circle. But I would just say, like, I was blown away by the stories and the nature relationships that people have just through the lens of trees. You know what I mean?
I mean, I could go on a side quest right now about maybe 3 trees.
Exactly. Exactly.
Maybe 4. Yeah.
I love trees.
Yeah.
We love them.
Yeah.
So, I like what I say. So like, that's what Sacred Kernow, I guess, is like. So 2 circles a month with different themes. And then I have done choirs. And I've sung professionally in my life, and one of my many careers, I'm a Gemini polymath. I love it. I love why be one thing when you can
be does everything? It all. She can do it all.
I do craft and cackle, seasonal craft and cackle, which is an opportunity to again, like I'm a maximalist as well. So it's like, do you want to come and have the opportunity to do approximately 15 different crafts? Because I have it in my storage cupboard of doom. So I've done a Samhain one, I've done a Yule one, I'll do sort of an Imbolc to Ostara one, but it's basically a craft afternoon. It's a craft afternoon. So I do craft and cackle, and I collaborate with other amazing women. So we've done a embodied sexuality workshop, looking at like fertility symbols and embodiments, and how do we, what does sexuality mean to us, which is a really deep thing. And I think my experience in violence against women and girls allows me to hold a container that I think is appropriate for that exploration. But I've done some clay workshops I've combined with that's Claire Menier from Moon Cottage Pottery. I've collaborated with Tracy T.
Didn't Claire release a song?
Yes. So
she sent it to me. It's beautiful. She sent it to me and I reposted it on my Instagram at Christmas. And I'm going to get her on the podcast at some point.
I love you, Claire. Claire started coming to Circle.
Yeah.
I think she either came to Beltane. I think I think she might have come to a summer solstice, which was also an anniversary celebration, 1-year anniversary celebration of the circles, even though it was like my birthday and Sacred Kernow. anyways, so she came to I think that was her first circle. And she was like, I was like, it's not always a 4-hour celebration where, where we have a giant feast. And, I was like, don't get your hopes up, but we still do fun stuff every circle. And then she came to Witch Camp. By the end of Witch Camp, I'd written that song about her experience. And it's glorious.
Stunning. I loved listening to it. And I felt so privileged and very humbled that she chose to share it with me. I was just like, oh, thank you. That's so lovely. And then it's awesome. She's is super talented. Her voice is lovely.
Yeah.
Absolutely lovely.
So she like went home on Saturday night and then came to the last day of Witch Camp having written a song. And I was like, I love the English with your poet. Like, you can just write a poem. Somebody just
she's a bard.
Write a poem, write a song. I'm like, I love it. So I've collaborated with her. I've collaborated with Tracy Teague from Sacred Space Healing. We've done some sound baths and tea ceremonies together. I've co-created a tea as an alternative to cacao, a heart-opening plant medicine tea that combines rose hip, and hawthorn to use in ceremony and in circle. Cacao, like, don't get me started on the colonial settlist history of cacao, but cacao doesn't grow here, y'all. And we have plants of this land that do exactly the same thing in terms of heart health and heart opening.
They are growing cacao in the biodomes in Eden, but they don't sell it. And I thought, well, what are you doing with all of this richness?
Exactly.
I'm seeing all of these cacao pods that you're growing in this biodome. What are you doing with it all?
That's a great question. Eden, hit us up with the answer.
Let us know what you're doing with it, because many a time I've thought about taking a pod and putting it in my pocket. I never did.
But listen, Eden, we're putting you on notice. If you don't start being transparent about what you're doing with the cacao, you might have some witches coming in and stealing your cacao. Purposing it. But I don't love cacao. I feel like it interacts with my body in a way that just does it's not for me. Like, if it's for you, that, like, awesome. It's not for me. But I love the idea of using UK plant medicine in ceremony for heart opening and heart healing. And so I've co-created that with Kitty Hargreaves from Cup of Kindness Tea. She's up in Hull, and it took us 3 years to create Sacred Circle Tea. But I do tea ceremonies, and I mean many other things, like Sacred Kernel, like, basically is my conduit for creativity. So I get an idea, and then over the last few years, this community is built up, and then basically I say, like, this is what I'm working with. Do you want to come and play together? And so at the end of this month, for example, on the 25th of January, and I've also created a few oracle decks, not just the mini ones for Circle, but I've created a Rewild and Feminine oracle deck. I have an Embodied Leadership oracle deck, and I love oracle decks as, like, to use as connection to our intuition. And so I started giving charms out at the end of Circle. And so I have a whole collection of charms from Circle. And I love symbolism. As I think a lot of witches do. I love metaphor. And so what I started to do was play around with charm divination. And so basically it's as simple as, like, I have a bag of charms and objects like little bones and stones and like witchy magpie shit. And I've made a key, a symbolism key, although it's all in my heart. And there's no way to do it wrong. It's your symbolism. But I basically just, on a big casting mat, I just sort of ask a question and then cast it out onto my casting mat. I've also made a bunch of different things with, like, past, present, future, and, like, various aspects of my life. Basically, I just toss the charms out and then see where they land and what messages the charms have for me. And so I've kind of been, for the last 6 months or so, I've been playing around with charm divination. And I thought, well, I have all these charms now. I'm working with it. I think it's been a really useful tool for me. So I wonder if there are some witches that want to come to a workshop, learn about charm divination, build their own charm set. And then, like, the way the workshop will end is that, you will have your charm set, you'll assign symbolism to it. I'll give you a key if you want to use my symbolism, or develop your own. And then we'll practice reading for each other and reading for ourselves. And then the invitation is then to kind of go away and see if charm divination is something that is a helpful tool in your witchy life. So, I put that out to the world, and I think there's already about 10, 12 people booked onto it, so, like, and I do try to keep everything under 15 people. Sometimes we have to move into my cinema room in the house because sometimes, like, we did a dark goddess circle, and there was like 22
my gosh, that sounds
people.
incredible.
22 people booked onto that because I was like, oh my God, I guess people want to commune with the dark goddesses. And like that was so we did that. That was right after Samhain, a couple days after Samhain, so still in the energies. So again, I created a dark goddess mini oracle deck because I think it's amazing how across time, space, geography, and culture, there's like everyone's had it. Or a goddess that embodies parts of the fierce feminine,
like the dark feminine,
like the Morrigan, like Lilith, like there's Kali, exactly. Yes. So we were, so I took everyone in that meditation at the beginning of the circle. So it was too big for my studio because I have a studio at the side of my house. It's a wooden Shire home. It's adorable, but it can fit like maximum like 15, 16 women. And so I was like, I have no authority to say no to these women who want to come to circle because the dark goddesses are clearly calling them. So luckily we have quite a big room, cinema room in our home. And so we were all in the cinema room, which has a big bar next to it. My husband has like a 300 bottle gin.
I feel like that sounds like a really appropriate place for a dark goddess circle where you have a bar with in bottles.
So I took everyone on an Imrama, meditative journey to meet the dark goddesses. And I kid you not, we're like 2-3 minutes into the meditation and something falls in the bar.
Oh my God, I love it.
I mean, when we were all equally thrilled and scared at the same time. And like, I don't go into the bar. Like it's a beautiful space in our home. It's really funky. And like neither one of, even though we have this massive booze collection, like neither one of us are big drinkers. It's like, my husband is a bit like me. Like he goes down his own little rabbit holes and he just collects gin. But because we don't drink, that's why we have such a big collection. But I hardly ever go into the bar unless it's like to get some ice from our ice machine or something like that. But like certainly like the bar had been untouched for days, if not weeks. And it was like, I don't know if it was Maman Brigitte who we were evoking. I don't know who it was, but they wanted to make their presence known. And again, up on like, if this is not like, there are just too many synchronicities, y'all, to think that energy and spirit is not real. And everyone was like, it was only like almost, do you remember when the dark goddesses like made the noises in the bar? Like, so yeah, I mean, anyways, I could tell you just many, many stories of, and I think there's something like the collective power of women. And I guess kind of going back, like, so Sacred Carno has been this beautiful community. It's helped Cornwall feel like home to me. It's allowed me to express my creativity in so many ways. Like when I get a bonkers idea and then a bunch of women kind of show up to explore that energy with me, it feels incredible. And I think of like Sacred Carno, I've said this a few times, like Sacred Carno is like kind of like a river. And then the community and the relationships that have come out of Sacred Carno are like these tributaries off of this river, like I'm never going to tell you what to do or how to do it. But what I suppose the continuum of all my work is creating spaces for women to feel clear on who they are and how they want to move through the world. And and for me, that is empowerment, right? And it's never about, it's about what we do in circle, but it's about how can you take that experience and that feeling and that energy into your life. And so that these tributaries that have come in and flowed in and out of the Sacred Carno community have been really amazing to witness. Women stepping into their power, stepping back into their creativity. Also to see the friendships that have come through.
And the sisterhoods as well. Yeah. Lovely sisterhood.
Last night, someone that I've like my first friend in Cornwall. We both have it's Bronnie, and she's amazing. And we both have French bulldogs, and that's how we met on the beach in Seaton because of our French bulldogs. But she had a birthday and created and invited, it was like half the room was like Sacred Carno circle and the half the room were her friends that she'd known for a long time. And it was just, and we had this, she wanted a witchy birthday. Right. And just getting together with a group of women in circle. And then we had a sauna and a sauna ritual. And then we had a massive dinner together. Like, it just felt so beautiful to be in a community of women who share my values. And, we're all incredibly different, but we have what's important to a lot of us is the same, and how we like spending time is the same.
Yeah.
And I suppose whether you call it a sisterhood, a community, a coven, I know I've craved that wherever I've lived for a really long time. And I have a great group of friends up in Surrey. We all had young kids at the same time together, and our coven really focused a lot around drinking, partying, coping, surviving. Most of us have neurodiverse kids.
Mhm.
So it was a lot around partying and escaping a little bit from the
Sometimes it's hard.
it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
And and there've been some of that group of friends, we've grown, and we've all kind of like half of us have kind of gone on this like self-development spiritual journey over the last 15 years or so. And that's who those are the women I'm still in touch with, and that was despite the distance, and now that I'm down in Cornwall. And when I get together with them, it's so much more than just like superficial like banter and partying. It feels like so much deeper.
I guess you guys have grown together though as well. So
100%.
your connections have deepened.
And what I've been able to like kind of find and create and walk into here in Cornwall are people who get jazzed about the same kind of things that I get jazzed about. Like we go on foraging walks. Emily, I love you. Emily is a trauma release boxing coach. She is amazing channeler of spirit. Also is just opening a blacksmith forge at Mount Edgecombe.
Wow.
So you want to make a cauldron, witches. If you want to make a sword, witches, or
an athame.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Emily Rowe is your woman. So like Emily is Cornish, and her grandmother has some ancient woodland. And so she, I call her up, and I like right before Yule, I said, I really want to create an evergreen spiral at the center of our circle. Do you want to come foraging with me? And so in the rain, we went to her grandmother's land and foraged.
Incredible.
And like just the fact that I know someone I can call up who has, who has permission from the landowner to borrow and to harvest with care and gratitude from the land, like that is amazing. And like, we're all sitting in the sauna last night, and a woman that I'd never met before, she's like, yeah, I'm like super into mudlarking. I was like, I want to mudlark so bad. And guess what? This morning, there's a mudlarking WhatsApp group. And I'm just like, there's not a moment where I'm not incredibly grateful for the fact that I constantly like choosing to live here and to be who I am, like brings me in contact with other people who have the same interests and who get jazzed about the same things and who want to spend time doing the same things as me, whether that's foraging or going on nature walks or getting together and chatting about crystals or having, witchy birthdays or sacred hen do's. Like, I don't know, like the people who I want to spend time with, like in terms of my friendships and my community, they are here.
Yeah.
And I love it. And they're all on my doorstep, and we're all finding each other. And so like, I'm so grateful that my heart was like, just get Sacred Crown out in the world. Yeah. I think it's landed in people's lives at the same time that other women were like, I want a community too. I want a community of women who want to explore the witchy shit, who want to talk about the stuff that really matters to us, who, might want to get together and dance, but maybe pull some oracle cards at the beginning of a night out. So like, I don't know, it's just, I feel like as much as like, I feel like belonging is a big deal, like belonging to self, right? But belonging to community is really important. And I think Cornwall, in terms of like belonging into the relationship that I'm in with my husband, we're very different people, but we see each other, I think, in ways that matter most. And so, belonging and creating a family with him is really important, and with my son. And then belonging, like I have a really great team at work. Shout out to the Violence Against Women and Girls team from the City Council. I feel like we do some amazing work together around gender equality. And I feel like I really belong there. And then having Sacred Kurnow in this community of women, I feel like I belong there too. So it's great.
How do you energetically, emotionally, and spiritually protect yourself doing the job that you do with gender-based violence and then holding spaces for women with Sacred Kurnow?
It's a great question. And I think it's an evolving practice, but it is something I really have to practice. So like everything I do is a continuum.
Yeah.
So it's not social justice work over here, women's work, like woo-woo spirituality work over here.
So you don't compartmentalize.
No. It's all it's all part of this. It's all me, right? And I long ago stopped compartmentalizing myself. You know, from 2018 onwards, I was that was what I did and I had to do for survival in my first marriage, and I'm done with it. So I bring my spirituality and my embodiment and my practices into my more corporate work. And I also bring my knowledge around social justice, boundaries, trauma, and containers to my spiritual work. And it's all, you know, in service to what I think is leaving this world a better place than I came into it. And so because I don't separate them, I bring my practices into my work day, for example. So almost every day before I open up my computer and start work, I'm pulling cards, I'm setting intentions. I ask myself the Justin Michael Williams question, like, if only for today, how do I want to move through the world? And focusing on that, I take breaks. I am really honest. If, you know, I also try to look after, like I chair in my Balance Against Women and Girls work, I chair high risk panels. And when we talk about high risk, we talk about high risk of death. So I chair something called the MARAC, I chair something called the MATAC. And I'm forever looking after myself as we hear, you know, the trauma of people's lives. Yeah. And I also help people remember humanity in all of that. I try to look after my colleagues and professionals by bringing trauma responsive practice. And I do that for myself, you know. So when I notice that things are getting overwhelming, I will end a meeting. I would say, we'll pick this up at a different time. I will look to all of the different practices that I've learned over time to resource myself. And so whether that's shaking, whether that's alternate nostril breathing, whether that's you know, bilateral stimulation of my, you know, of tapping or brushing my arms, my body, whether that is basically being really honest and saying, I know it's only 1 p.m., but between 9 o'clock this morning and 1 p.m. at work, I have done an incredible amount of work and I'm done for today. Like energetically, I'm done. And I know that I'm not going to be effective anymore. And also like, I need to go and tend to myself. Yeah. Like I need to go out in the garden. I need to go for a walk. And that's like on Friday, I had a really, like an example, like on Friday, had a really big day at work after a really big first week back after having 2 weeks off. My meetings ended at 3:30 and I just put my out of office on and said to my husband, come on, like, let's get in the car. Let's drive up to the moor. I just need to be like surrounded by nature. Yeah. And it was really beautiful. So we were driving through, I mean, so this is how we combine the spirituality and the masculine, right? And so he loves cars. And so he brought his drone. And as I'm like, you know, out of the car connecting with land, he's driving back and forth, filming the car. And, you know, that's fine. And in a beautiful moment of all coming together is that we were driving through the moor and there was about 6 horses and we just pulled over and I rolled down my window and this one horse I'm sure looking for food, just kind of came over and we just had a moment. I was just stroking its nose and it was just like, oh, thank you so much. Like I really needed to connect with you after the week I've had and just to ground me and to bring me back to myself. It didn't dawn on me that like I'm still feeling very much the energy of the year of the snake in terms of some things in my personal life that need transformation and shedding. And it was just that reminder of that force coming over that, you know, stuff will shift and things will move ahead. And so like, that's what I do. You know, I bring my spirituality into my work and, you know, when I go into circle, so before I set up my studio, I set up any space that I create before anyone arrives. I spent a long time tending to the sacred space and the energy of the physical space that we're gathering in. And then the first 20 minutes of circle, we're co-creating that container together. So like I said, we are calling in the directions in an embodied way. We're hand casting, but the one thing that I will never leave out of a circle is community agreements. And so those are the invitations for how we can be together. Like community agreements, for example, are you ultimately get to choose. So you listen to yourself, you listen to your body, you practice self-authority. Like you don't owe me anything as your facilitator. Community agreement, really, really important. Yeah. And I think, you know, community agreements are like, we don't crosstalk. This is not a space to fix or, you know, to offer. You let women speak and, you don't interrupt them across the circle. You don't feed back to them. Like, you just let women have their share in their moment, and that's really hard sometimes for women to be like, when you see someone who's having an emotional share and like you see women, so many people have been conditioned into like, oh, I just want to fix it for you. I want to make it better.
Yeah.
But like, just letting that woman be, be enough, like, is an important thing. So like, those are community agreements. Another community agreement is confidentiality. Like,
yeah,
you don't share anyone else's. You can talk about your experience of circle, but you don't share what anyone else's experience and what they've shared in circle. So like, those community agreements, I think, like opening the container before people get there, opening it together, and then closing it down. After, like, at the end of circle, and then once everyone leaves, I go in and sage and clear the space. So that's one process that I always follow. And then, so I would say, like, that's the one thing I always do is the container. But then I change up how I might resource and protect myself. Like, I'm really conscious about like what incense I light and what herbs I use in terms of like setting that sacred space. And I also like, if I've had a really heavy day at work and I'm hosting a circle that evening, like, make sure I'm ending work maybe around 4. So I have a transition time between 4 and 6:30 when women arrive, to maybe to sit down and to journal, maybe to sit down and pull some cards, maybe honestly to lie down in a dark room to resource myself. When I set the sacred space, I'm also always asking for the support of my guides and the support of the divine within me and around me to work through me for the greatest good of all. And like, again, that's a non-negotiable. Like, I do that every single time. So like, I guess, some people look at it as like, like, I never look at it like, I look at it as almost like this. Some people have described it as, like, my friend Kate Taylor describes it as like a big disco ball that she zips around herself, like, for like psychic protection. I look at it more of like, viscous ball of light. And I can only continue to do all the work that I do if I protect my energy and don't kind of take on or get drawn into it. And I think, like, what allows me to really like walk that talk is, again, the community agreements. Like, when I say like everything is an invitation and you meet it, like, I say that at the beginning of every circle, and then I have to live up to that in terms of my practice. So when we're doing an activity or when we're doing a share, or, like, if someone's like, no, I don't want to say anything. No, I don't want to do it. I fundamentally do not hang on to that. Like, that is not for me. I don't take that as like, oh my God, I'm not a good circle facilitator because everyone's not participating in the same way. Like, I honestly, and that's a practice. Like, when someone like doesn't want to do something, or when someone is, says like, no, I don't like this, like, which has happened. Like, if you create a space for embodying wholeness, people will challenge you. People will say different things. And like, that's like, I think transformational spaces are not always about like superficial love and light. Like, they're about realness and wholeness. And so I protect myself by recognizing that everyone's having their own individual experiences, and it's not, necessarily a reflection of me in terms of how they're meeting that moment. And, I also create spaces for repair. So if something does happen, like, we acknowledge it. We honor impact over intention. And, there have been times where I've had to be like, no, hang on a minute. We need to stop and kind of unpick this. Like, someone is saying that this has had an impact on them. And like, I understand, with all the best intentions, this often happens more in like retreat scenarios, or like retreat situations with extended containers. But like, if someone is saying like, oh, but I didn't mean to upset you. Okay. I'm sure you didn't. But what we're going to focus on is the impact on your actions or on your words on this person, and then create, if there's repair and reparation that's needed, we're going to go into that. And like, being a facilitator is also holding those, those uncomfortable spaces as well. And I suppose, like, so all of that, and like I remember the first like ages, like when I first started teaching Koya, and like, and I've had people being like, no, I don't like it. It's too much. I don't want to feel. I've had people walk out of Koya.
They might not be ready.
Like, and that is not for me to then integrate into my value of who I am as a facilitator or a teacher. Like, I will follow up with that person. I will see if there's any care that is needed, and any tending that's needed. But again, it's not Like, I'm not gonna, like, that is like protecting myself.
You're
Is
not going to
also
internalize it.
honoring their wholeness and where they are at, and not internalizing it. Exactly. I mean, you know, I'm a human being. I'm a human woman. And I, you know, and what I do, I really mean, like, I want to hear feedback. I want to hear people's experiences. And like, and I'm also a person that's, you know, a recovering perfectionist and also, you know, an eldest daughter and all these things that like make me want to people please. And so when when people do give me feedback, I like, again, it's been this practice, particularly over the last 5, 6 years or so, to be like, if I'm walking the talk of being a dedicated student of life and to learning, how can I really hear and learn from this feedback and then integrate it in a way? And I feel like the facilitator that I am now comes from, and the depth of my ability to facilitate comes just as much from my personal practice as all of my learning, as from my relationships and my relational learning over the last decade. Also from learning from really amazing teachers. The best course I've ever done, aside from my university, like my university degrees aside, like the best course I've ever done was a course from the Embody Lab called Embody Social Justice.
Okay.
And I learned from greats like Rev Angel Kyoto Williams, Dr. Sarah King, I want to say Ray Jepson, but that's not her name. Dr. Rev, right? I mean, like all of these amazing people who facilitated really challenging conversations, like online conversations during the pandemic, sometimes with over 700 people.
Wow.
Yeah. I learned about honoring impact over intention. I learned in practice how to hold up and embody community agreements in a way that I think hopefully makes me a really human facilitator. And so that course changed the way I am in whether it's at violence against women and girls work or whether it's circle facilitation. But it is a day to day practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not around. I'm not like there have been times where I've gone like straight to the very practical basic stuff. Like I've something's felt a little energetically off, or it's been a big emotional experience. Like after retreats, like 3-4 day retreats for people, like that's big. We're holding so much. We're living 1,000 lifetimes in those 3-4 days. Like I take the Monday off after retreat. Sometimes I take the Tuesday off.
Yeah.
I take the 2 days before off. So I'm like a week around a retreat, I'm protecting my energy, right? The weekend after a retreat, I try to work in something that's going to allow me to integrate all of this. And it's taken me a while to learn that. I used to just go right back to work on a Monday morning, and that was no bueno. Like that, we don't do that anymore. I will also smell. I have a really strong sense of smell. I've created aura sprays and tinctures that help.
Yes.
Like, that energetic. I work a lot with the rose. So like working with the rose, like, I drink a lot of my own tea, to look after my heart. Like, I feel like it's so interesting because like when you're asked about it, it's like, oh, I do so many things, but I don't even think about it anymore. What did I say? It's like 30 times to become a habit, 300 times for it to become practice, and 3,000 times for it to become embodied. Like, I don't think about it anymore. And so much, I guess, like I'm in that space between 300 and 3,000 with so much of my practice now. Like I don't even think about it. It's just what I go to.
Yeah.
Like and that's where this all feels so embodied now, but it first felt like I had to be super intentional. I had to like really think about it and make sure I did it. And now it's like, I can't imagine not doing things like pulling an oracle card before work, or creating my space, or, paying attention to my cycles and my energy, or using smell and scent and herbs like internally through tea, or like around me through seining, like to help me protect and clear my space.
Yeah,
Freya, I've just been talking.
No, I love it.
Is it midnight? I don't even know.
Oh my God. I'm hanging on to every word. I do have a couple of questions. Because I'm aware of time and you have a home to get to, and I don't want to keep you here forever.
It's Sunday now. I want to roast. I'm hoping that we can create a roast at home tonight.
You're based in Liskeard, or like Sacred Kerno is based in Liskeard, and with your retreats, where do you have those in Cornwall? Are they
at my home?
at your home? Okay. Yeah.
So the retreats. So we have 5 extra bedrooms at the house. So you can choose to stay at my home, where we have all of our meals, and a lot of our circles and ceremonies are in the studio, which is right next to the house. But I also, for those of you who are listening, in Cornwall, like on the longer containers, like I offer really accessible pricing for locals to come to the retreat. So you don't have to stay at the house. Like some people come and they choose to stay in hotels or Airbnbs because they want to come together for the daytime, but then have their space at night.
Yeah.
And there's also, people can come for the day stuff and then go home at night if that's what you want to do. So they're all like the heart of the retreats is at my home at Golden Bank in Liscard, but we work with the land on the retreats. I mean, there's so just within 10 to 20 minutes of Liscard, there are so many beautiful sacred places, from the beach to, like I said, the hurlers or Dulo stone circles, to Goliath Falls, to Cadroia, which
Rilla
is
Mill and Star Awards.
Exactly. So we don't have to go very far from the epicenter of the retreats to work alongside and with the land. So we've gone further afield. So we've gone up to Tintagel and St. Nectan's Glen. We've gone down to Penwith, West Penwith, and gone to Mary Maidens and the Madron Well. I have a real desire to take some folks to the Holywell Cave. I mean, the acoustics for singing in there are just amazing at Holywell Beach.
I've been there twice, right? I've been to Holywell Bay twice with the intention to find the Holy Well. And on both occasions, I never found it. And maybe it's because I didn't let Jesus into my heart. I don't know. I cannot find that damn well.
Well, listen, we'll go together at low tide.
Yeah.
Well, you have to you park at the National Trust and then you walk down to the beach and then you bang a right and you walk all the way down, and it has to be at lowest tide.
Okay.
It has to be because the whole beach disappears, but it has to be at lowest tide, and you just go all the way down and around the corner and it's there. And it's a spectacular cave with sort of like it's a tiered limestone well, and it's like purple and like it's a well in that it's a spring that feeds down the rocks, but it's collected in this rock structure that is like green and purple, and it's beautiful, and it's in a cave, so the acoustics are phenomenal. It's glorious, but it has to be low tide.
Okay,
is it?
That's a mistake I've been making.
So, but there's a few sites, ancient and sacred sites, that I'm going to be working with in 2026. Cleather Well is a beautiful, beautiful place. It has a small chapel. I've done some personal ceremonies in there. But that land is really spectacular. But again, we don't have to go far. No. And I really love this part of Cornwall. And I love St. Keen Well. It's a little feminist well. And that's just like 10 minutes from Liscard. And St. Keen Well, the legend is that the first person to drink from the well after they get married will basically, I think it says even on the thing like wear the pants in the relationship. But what women would do in a time where gender inequality was the norm, women would sneak vials of St. Keen well water. And basically, as soon as they said yes or I do, they would drink it and be like, surprise, I'm the boss now. And I just think, yes, fucking feminism, So I love it so again, it's like the energy of that. Well, it's just literally on the side of the road. You drive by it and you miss it unless you know where it is. But it is like, it's just right there, and it's so magical. And Cornwall it's like 400 wells, and dozens of stone circles and standing stones. And there's so much magic in this land. And what a privilege it is to live on this land, to work to be in right relationship with the land, to work in community with it. And so, and then we have the largest labyrinth built, again, like 20 minutes from Liscard. And Cadroia has its own magic, man-made magic. But labyrinths are have been really transformative on my spiritual journey. Like I've been able to walk labyrinths in many places in the world, and I've walked, and they've been really impactful. And I've also made labyrinths out of scarves, or like spirals out of scarves, and walked them in my studio and in my, in my living room.
Oh, awesome.
And those have also been some of the most impactful, like meditative, moving meditations that I've ever done. So anyways, like, gosh darn it, the land here is just spectacular, and is, and I feel like holds witchy magic.
Absolutely. Oh God, yeah. Completely.
But yeah, so I have one retreat planned for this year. I'm running, but I'm waiting until February. To seed some more. But I have, I ran a witch camp in the autumn over Samhain weekend. And that is, I think there's one space left on it, and I'm pushing it with that one space left. So, but I'm thinking about running a spring witch camp. And I have actually at the end of this month, I have a group of Koya teachers coming for a co-created retreat weekend where I don't have to hold all the space. Where we hold each other and we take turns.
Oh, that's good.
Which is lovely. And we're going to be going, we're going to Goliath Falls, we're going to Pedroia, we're going, the wonderful Jess from Mott's Sauna.
Mott's Sauna. Yes.
I was just there last night for the witchy birthday party. And she's 5 minutes.
I love how she I want to go my intention this year is to go to one of her sauna evenings. Like she has you sauna and you swim and then you have the food afterwards. Yeah. But I want to do it on a full moon. So I can swim under.
Ronan, Cleo, and Jess, again, beautiful Cornish witches. The three of them run full moon women's circle, yoga, and sauna.
Yeah, they do.
And so I wholeheartedly recommend those.
The weather's warmer because I'm a wind, even though I'm a Pisces, can't get in that cold water.
I did not get into the water last night. The river was raging. It's only knee deep. It was moving quite fast. Just standing outside the sauna on the grass last night, I was frozen. So, listening to your body, listening to the cycles of you. But yeah, Mott Sauna, witch camp, we go to Mott Sauna, and we do like last year, for example, we did a sauna ritual. Where it was end of October, so many of us were dipping in the river, and also there's a cold plunge tub and a shower. So we did an hour of sauna rituals, and then we did a beautiful soup lunch in her covered area around the fire, and then we decorated witches' hats and made mini basins. So, I mean, I think there's also something about when we gather in that way, and there's a bit of inner child, there's a bit of playfulness. And there's this dropping into hopefully at some point dropping into, I guess, my prayer, right? There's a moment of this is who I am. And maybe I don't get to express it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but we will take the moments of magic when they come, and just be able to recognize them. And that's how I feel like the whole weekend of witch camp. That's the second witch camp I've run, and both witch camps, the longer containers, have been spectacularly amazing and transformative for me as a space holder, and I think for the other witches who joined me, and which is why I want to kind of do a spring one. So there's craft and circle and dancing and land connection and spells, so many spells, and I get to take out my whole apothecary of herbs that I've gathered, and we get to play around and make candles and ornaments, and
it sounds like a dream.
Spell jars and all sorts. So but it's maybe to some of you might sound like some basic witch shit, but everything, you don't let anyone tell you how you get to be a witch. You get to choose how to be a witch. And what I try to do is give people as many different opportunities to explore and enhance their witchiness. Some may work for you, some you may resonate with, some maybe not, but there's always a menu of options for you when you come to any space that I hold. And some of it, you can take or leave, and some of it you might take and then might become part of your daily practice. So it's all there. You get to choose ultimately.
Amazing. Do you have any supernatural experiences? Have you perhaps ever since you were a child experienced the supernatural, or you mentioned the dark goddesses and making their presence known at the bar, but is it something
my mum has? My mum has told stories about how she had this vivid sort of past life memory of being shot in the back in war. And then, like she like remembers that so vividly as a child. And, and my mom has lots of ghost stories about seeing ghosts and houses and all sorts. I have not, although I would welcome spirit, but I think there's been, I suppose, like my experience is more bit about synchronicity. I remember knowing when I was 7, I remember knowing being awake in bed in the morning, my grandmother died. And I remember knowing very clearly that she had passed. She was in hospital. She had cancer. And before my mum got a call to tell her that her mum had passed, like I was awake in bed and I knew, and I was 7, I just knew very clearly that my Nana was not here anymore. And then within a half an hour, the phone rang and my mum was very upset. And, and so I've had a few of those. I've had a few synchronicities with around spirit and around people passing. I've lost a few people over the last few years, including my dad and Rodney Barker, who was the lawyer that I worked for, who my son, his middle name is Rodney because of what an impact that man had on my life. I knew that he was unwell before I was told that he was unwell. And there's a person in my life who is a fiance of mine, a Nicaraguan man named Ruben. And we were together for a few years in Nicaragua and we became really close friends. And we remained close friends. And I remember in 2019, when I was last in Nicaragua, I remember saying goodbye to him and not wanting to let go. And he passed a month later, unexpectedly.
It's like there's a very strong sixth sense, intuition, precognition.
Yeah, I would say that's really like kind of connecting to something more. And I think that is it's intuition. I mean, I would say that. I mean, my podcast was called The Intuition Conversations. Like, I think that that's more of like I know so many amazing people that channel spirit and get spirit and have like particular spirits that talk to them. I would love that. I don't have that. What I have is like a group of spirit guides that I have had a devoted practice to, who I feel like, now are, who guide me and send me messages. I think when I think about spirituality, like the loudest messages I get are when I ask the land, what would you have me do? And then I listen. And so that's where, like, when I say I channel, like finding space and time and slowness to listen to nature is where I get some of the deepest and like the clearest messaging.
Yeah.
As opposed to like an ethereal plane of spirit guides and ghosts. Like, I would love it, but that's not my gift.
We all receive our gifts in different ways,
Exactly. Exactly.
Meghan, we've been here and it has been wonderful. Just continue talking to you, and I'm going to have you back on because there's still so much I want to explore with you. Something that I have been feeling, thinking, or this message that I've been getting, but as I've been listening to you and listening to your incredible story, and thank you so much for sharing it on the podcast. And I'm feeling a bit emotional. For you, I feel like where you were born and the journey that you've took and the advocacy and how you're a warrior and the stuff that you do, you are born to do it. I feel like you're doing it for the witches and the women in Salem. You come from that land and, on all the places you've been, the advocacy that you're doing for the gender-based violence here. And I don't know, it feels like this was meant to be your path. This was meant to be your journey. And I just get this feeling, and I don't know where it's coming from, that every woman who was persecuted and the ancestor, it's like you've come up to heal. You're doing the healing going forward. I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know. Your story's just so, I love that you're a fighter and that you're a campaigner, and your story is so interesting and so layered and multifaceted, and the work that you do is just so beautiful. So thank you for fighting for us. And I just feel like, yeah, the women who were persecuted and those ancestors and the women of Salem and any woman that was persecuted, you know, for thinking that for people thinking that they were a witch or evil or wrong. So proud of you. And it's just been an absolute journey today with you. And I've loved it so much. And like I said, thank you for being so open and vulnerable at certain times with me today. It's been wonderful. And yeah, I am definitely going to come on to one of your retreats, and I need to have you back on because we still have so many more side quests to cover.
Oh, well, listen, thank you so much. I really receive all of that. I receive your words. There's so much of me that I wish that my vocation and my calling in this lifetime didn't have to be this, right? I always say, I wish I work to do myself out of a job, you know? Like, ideally, you shouldn't have to have a violence against women and girls strategic lead in your city to counter violence against women and girls, because it should be eradicated. It should happen in the first place. Like 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men shouldn't experience gender-based abuse. Like, that should not happen. In the same way, like, we women should not be conditioned into smallness and not enoughness and silence. We should not have to move through our lives in this way. Like, we should not need to have containers where we remember ourselves, because we should never forget. And so all of my work in this lifetime is to try to do myself out of a job, actually, right? But I can't imagine it any other way. I'm a Gemini sun, which means I want to do a million things, and it's no one thing, it's all the things. And I'm a Libra moon. And so justice and equality sits at the heart of all the work and what drives me. And I'm a Virgo rising.
Of course you are.
And so the only way to organize the madness and the multiplicity that is my life is through that Virgo energy. And so I don't know any other way to be. And, you know, thank you so much for seeing me and for hearing me and for recognizing and honoring my life's journey and my life's work. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I really look forward to having you back on again. Thank you so much.
Anytime. And as we say at the end of every one of my circles, we say Shah. And Shah is spelled SEA, and it's sort of like a vibration like yay or and so it is or aho. And it's so interesting. Like, you talk about, like, bridging my worlds. There's so many times like that I say it under my breath at work when someone says something really powerful. I'm like, shh. And then, but it's like, and when new people come to circle, and like, we say it like as an affirmation after like someone will share, and then everyone's like, yeah, sure. And then I have to be like, it's not a cult. I promise it's not a cult. Let me explain what Shah means. But like, it's really interesting. Like, just like it's such a life affirming thing to say, and it's Celtic, Irish Celtic, really. So I just want to say like Shah to this experience and for sharing time with you today. Shah, Shah, Shah. Thank you.
Shah, you're most welcome. I hope you all enjoyed listening to this 2-part episode with Meghan Field. We had so much fun recording this podcast. As I said in the last episode, we were talking for hours and we were both absolutely starving by the end of it. So I hope, Meghan, you did get a very nice roast when you got back home at the end of the day. I really look forward to having Meghan on the show again. We still have so many more topics to cover, and I am definitely going to be going to one of her sister circles and retreats this year. It is absolutely on my bucket list for 2026. All right, so let's move on to the final section of our show where I talk about the Witch Weekly events, where you get to know what spiritual or witchy events are happening in and around South Devon and Cornwall. Starting with local covens that are seeking new members. So if you're a solitary witch looking to join a coven, this might be for you. With us again is Roz and Booker, one of Cornwall's longest established covens, and they hold meetings in North Cornwall and the Devon-Cornwall border. Applicants are welcome to introduce themselves via email and can visit their website for more information. The Cunning is a witch, occult shop and temple based in Plymouth. They currently hold the Coven of the Sacred Grove. They are a diverse group of witches from different paths that come together to learn and support each other. With their coven, they break the year down into 4 seasons. Season 1 is looking at runes, Ogham, and magical languages. Season 2 looks at magical herbalism. Season 3 is trance work and otherworldly travel and flight, and Season 4 looks at magical charms. The Physical Coven meets on Tuesday and Thursday nights fortnightly. They also have an online coven with spaces available too. Everyone is in a group together each week, and sometimes they drop different techniques and teachings from PDFs, slides, and videos. Joining the Coven comes with a range of benefits too. You can get money off the shop and services, and you can also make use of the Coven Library, which is for local members only. To join the physical coven, it's £30 per person, and if you wanted to join the online coven, that is £15. If you would like to get in touch, you can message them through their Instagram page or Facebook, and I've also added their email address in the show notes. If you run a coven or hold a sister circle in Cornwall or South Devon, and you're open to having new members join you, please let me know and I will give you a shout out on the next episode. Witchy and spiritual events. Continuing with the Cunning Grove, their usual Saturday morning Witch and Brew is continuing. It used to be called Witch, Bitch and Brew. However, it's now been shortened to Witch and Brew and has more of a teaching focus. Essentially, it's a social with tea and talk. That's Saturdays at the Cunning Grove from 11 a.m. until the last witch leaves. The Cunning Grove are also holding a Witch and Stitch on Wednesdays. It's a weekly crochet, knitting and a witchcraft session, and both of these are free. The Cabinet of Folklore and Magic down in Falmouth are holding their tarot readings on Saturday mornings. Over the next few episodes on the podcast, I'm going to be doing a shout out for a day retreat that will be happening in Cornwall. This is being held by Echo Luminex and Body Soul Alignment, also known as Ellie and Victoria, and it's called the Inner Light Retreat. It will be held on Friday, the 20th of February. The Inner Light Retreat is going to be a 4-hour space created for anyone who is affected by cancer. The retreat was born from lived experience. For Victoria, it was a space that she desperately needed while she was going through cancer. And for Ellie, it's a space that she felt she was unable to fully offer when she was working as an oncology nurse. Together, they are creating what they both felt was missing. This is a space outside of hospitals, tests, treatments, and expectations. A space to reconnect with yourself, a space to come back to the body and to explore a gentle, holistic approach that can support your healing journey, not replace modern medicine, but walk alongside it. Through different practices and approaches, they invite participants to try, feel, and discover what resonates for them, to move from feeling like only a patient to becoming an active participant in their own recovery, with curiosity, courage, and compassion. This is a space to rest, to feel, to reconnect with your inner light, and to remember that you are more than a diagnosis. You can book your space for yourself or a loved one for only £44, and I have linked Ellie's website in the show notes. If you would also like to have a chat or ask them any questions, I have also got a link to their Instagram page as well. Next Thursday, the 19th of February, from 7 p.m. until 9:30 p.m, Meghan Field is holding her Sacred Kerno Women's Circle, focusing on animal familiars. In this circle, you will explore the lore and symbolism of animal familiars and how they show up in our lives as protectors, teachers, mirrors, and companions on our path of intuition and magic. At this circle, you'll have the opportunity to meet or deepen your connection with your own familiar. Whether it arrives as a creature of the earth, sky, or unseen realms, this ally brings messages and medicine for the phase of life you're moving through now. You will also have the opportunity to honour any animals that have walked with and supported you in this lifetime. This circle is an invitation to reconnect with your wild knowing, awaken instinct, and step into the relationship with the animal energy that walks beside you. I have linked the website for you to book your place in the show notes. If you have a witchy or a spiritual event coming up in South Devon or Cornwall and you would like me to give your event a shout out on the podcast, then please contact me. You can email me at thecornishwitchpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find me on social media at The Cornish Witch Podcast. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. That is everything I have for you for this episode. Thank you so much for listening to The Cornish Witch Podcast. This podcast is an independent personal project created outside of my professional life. It exists as a space for conversation with witches, spiritual practitioners, and those walking their own paths, sharing lived practice, ritual, experience, and folklore often rooted here in Cornwall and the land itself. If you value these conversations and would like to support the continuation of the podcast, there is a voluntary link in the show notes. Listening will always remain free and there is no expectation to contribute. Whether you support here, listen quietly, or carry these stories onward by sharing them with others, thank you. Your presence honours the craft and keeps these tellings alive. May these stories find you when they are meant to. And until next time, may the path rise to meet you.